boys and girls, and all of God's children. Welcome to the Church School Neighborhood. I'm Sister Angie Spears, the excited Church School Superintendent. What a wonderful, wonderful lesson we have for you today. As you know, the title of our summer quarter is The Testimony of Faithful Witnesses. Well, today we're beginning a new unit, and the title of the unit is Spread the Good News. What's the good news? The good news of Jesus. Today's lesson is titled Thomas, the Honest Doubter. And our lesson comes from John chapter 11, chapter 14, chapter 20, and chapter 21. It is a wonderful, wonderful lesson, and it is about the disciple named Thomas, and we often call him Doubting Thomas. Why? Well, when Jesus arises from the dead, the women at the cross, they're the first ones who find out the good news, and they run to tell the disciples. And then Jesus appears where some of the disciples are, and they get to see him with their own eyes. One of the disciples who was not with them was Thomas. And when they tell Thomas, Thomas, we saw Jesus, Thomas does not believe. Thomas says, unless I see him with my own eyes, unless I put my fingers into his side, I'm not going to believe. In other words, Thomas was saying, I need proof. I need proof. And I saw what they did, and I saw them pierce him in the side. So if I can put my finger right where I know that would have happened, that's the only way I'm going to believe. Well, Jesus comes to where Thomas is. And Jesus knows what Thomas has said. And what does Jesus say? He tells Thomas, go ahead, put your hand in my side, do those things. And what does Thomas do? He just says, oh, my Lord and my God. Now he believes. He knows it's Jesus. But he wanted proof. He wanted proof. Well, it is Daisy who has a great, great example that tells me that Daisy understands our lesson today. What did you want to share with us, Daisy? Daisy says that last summer she went to Disney World herself. Buttercup, of course, Mom and Dad and Uncle Billy went with. It was the best time. What was one of the favorite things that happened, Daisy? Daisy had lunch with Princess Jasmine. It was just Daisy and Jasmine that were sitting there having lunch, and she was so excited. Well, Daisy was telling some of the girls at school what had happened and about having lunch with the princess. And the girls were like, oh, Daisy. They all had big eyes as they were listening to Daisy's stories of what had happened. And one of the girls, Mia, what did she say, Daisy? I don't believe you. Does that sound like Thomas? And Daisy says, oh, but it did happen. It's just what I told you. Do you have proof, she says. And I'm not talking about Photoshop proof. And what did you do, Daisy? Daisy happened to have she remembered in her purse, she had a picture of her and Jasmine sitting at lunch. And Jasmine had signed it to my new friend, Daisy. Well, when Daisy showed that to the girls, and especially to Mia, Mia was like, oh, you did have lunch with the princess. Daisy had proof. That's a great example, Daisy, because it certainly is very much like Thomas. Thomas is like, I'm not going to believe it unless there is proof. He wanted proof that Jesus had really risen from the dead. And my goodness, he sees Jesus. And when he sees him, and Jesus says, go ahead, put your hand in my side. He doesn't even have to do it. He just says, oh, my Lord and my God. This is a wonderful, wonderful lesson. Let's go to our memory verse. Our memory verse comes from John chapter 20, verse 27. Jesus said to Thomas, Put your finger here and see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it in my side. Do not doubt, but believe. Let's say that again. Jesus said to Thomas, put your finger here and see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it in my side. Do not doubt, but believe. Do you think you can fill that in when some of the words are missing? Let's see. Jesus said to Thomas, put your finger here and see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it in my side. Do not doubt, but believe. Great job. Great job. Again, you're going to enjoy this church school lesson so very much. We trust that you will join us on next week. Next week, our lesson is titled Stephen, an Early Interpreter of Christianity, and our lesson comes from Acts chapter 6, verses 7 through 10, and chapter 7, verses 54 through 60. Until next week, have a blessed week. God bless you. Bye-bye.